Hello and welcome back to another Fantasy Football Scout podcast and video on YouTube, all about Euro 2024 fantasy. My name is Ed. I'm going to be your host this summer. You can follow me on X at _fantasyed. Please do like and subscribe to this channel, like this stream, click the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything you need to know as we build our Euro 2024 fantasy teams. Today, we are going to be looking at the highest owned players so far. The players that have the most people picking them, and we're going to build a team out of those players and see who pops up. I'm sure it's going to be something that changes as we go. The last video I did, I think there was only 35,000 people signed up for the game. Now, as we leave the domestic season behind, I think it's already jumped up to 70, and it's growing massively every single day. So if you haven't signed up already, make sure you click the link below in the description. If you're listening on podcast, it will be there as well. Click that link, make your team, and join our league. Again, the code to join the league and the link to join the league will be in the descriptions, whether you're listening to this on audio podcast or watching on YouTube. But let's get going. Let's start. Let's see who the most picked players are so far. So here we are. I've been on the app on my phone, and it's the same on desktop if you're using that, and picked the most picked players so far in every position: striker, midfielder, defender, goalkeeper, and we're going to go through and see who they are and what we can learn about this pick pattern from the 70+ thousand managers who've been on the app so far and picked their teams. Before I start, make sure to join our league. I can see it there. There's nearly 1,000 people in that league already. There are going to be prizes to be confirmed, but make sure you're in it to win it. Otherwise, you've got no chance. So make sure you join that quickly. And again, as I said, if you haven't even made your team, use the link below. So, first player on this list. I wonder whether you can guess. I wonder how many you could guess right now if you tried. Some of them are going to be obvious. I think there's a few in there that will surprise you, though. So let's get going. So the first one, Harry Kane. Come on. Harry Kane, what is it? 43 goals in 44 games or something for Bayern Munich this season. So unfortunate to leave Tottenham to win trophies. And then Bayern Munich don't win the title for the first time in 10 years, 11 years, or don't win a trophy for the first time in 10, 11 years. Absolutely gutting for him, but it definitely wasn't his fault. He is in absolutely sensational goal-scoring form, both for Bayern Munich, but also for England. For England, let's have a look. 8 goals in qualifying. Really, really good, as always, for England. And England, the favourites going into this tournament. I was surprised. I did think, wow, is this the first time in my life we've actually been the bookies' favourite? Ahead of France, ahead of Spain, ahead of Germany, even the hosts, we are the favourites. So it's going to be a really interesting summer for England fans. If you are an England fan, I am. But Harry Kane, 44% owned, 11 million, starts with a game against Serbia this summer tournament. So is he going to be in your team? I think he's going to be in a lot of teams. So actually, well, to be fair, he's only in 44% of teams at the moment. I think that should be higher. That probably will tick up as we get closer to the tournament. But it's all about how we're going to use our budget, isn't it? So the first pick, Harry Kane, pretty obvious. Let's see if the next one is as obvious up front. It is. I think that's pretty obvious, isn't it? Kylian Mbappe. In fact, he is the highest owned player in the game so far. 70% ownership, £11 million or euros, whatever you want to call it, in this game. He's same as Harry Kane, same price. France open up with a game against Austria. So some people might think that's the easiest game of that group, in fact. But he got 9 goals in qualifying. So Kane got 8. Mbappe did one better. He got 9 for France. France always, one of the favourites going into these big tournaments. Mbappe, do you just have to have him? Do you have to have him for that? I think the 4th of 5 days in Matchday One. He's the standout captaincy option. So do you just have to go with him? 70% of people think yes so far because they've got him. The highest owned player in the game, Kylian Mbappe. Pick 3. Up front, let's have a look. Who do you think it's going to be? I bet, just talk to yourself in your head here. Who is this going to be, the third striker? Have a think. Okay, let's show you. It is Ronaldo. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. He is 20% owned, sneaks into the top 3. He is about 58 now. No, how old is he? 40? 39? 40? Maybe 41? I think he's 40. Gosh, amazing. Still going. And you know what? Kane got 8 goals in qualifying. Mbappe got 9 goals in qualifying. 40-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo got 10 goals in qualifying, so beats them both, comes in at 10 million, opening game against the Czech Republic, but for a Portugal side who scored bags of goals and have won 11 of their last 12 matches. Such an incredible squad. It was announced today, and I just saw the squad, and you go through it and you think, this is not fair. I mean, João Felix, Rafa Leão, Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, Diaz. I mean, it goes on and on. Bruno Fernandes, Cancelo. It's unbelievable the talent they've got in their squad. Can they bring it together to go on and win the tournament? I think they're fourth favourites. I could see them winning it, Them and Belgium, I think not many people are talking about. I could see them winning it. But Cristiano Ronaldo, the surprise, I suppose, up front, is that the top scorer in qualifying, by quite a way, isn't in the top 3 picked. And he's actually only 9 million. I wonder whether you know who that is. Try and guess in your head. Some of you are shouting it. Yes, it's Romelu Lukaku. He got 14 goals in qualifying for Belgium. In a Belgian side that did pretty well in qualifying. Did they beat someone 4? No, maybe that was France. But Lukaku scored 4 goals in 25 minutes in one match. So maybe a bit stat paddy. But there you go. But yeah, Lukaku's not in the top 3. In fact, Lukaku's 6th. 4th choice at 15%, who's knocking on the door of getting in that top 3, is actually Kai Havertz. After a great end to his season at Arsenal, obviously playing for the hosts Germany, he's 4th. And Lamine Yamal, Barcelona's prodigy, is 12% owned. So there you go. There's the top 3. Kane, Mbappe, Ronaldo. I wonder how many of those 3 you've got. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and do midfielders. So let's move on to midfielders. I wonder whether, again, who would you guess is going to be in it? Let's take a look at the first one. It is Florian Wirtz. I think it's Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz. I think it's Florian Wirtz. Really highly rated young midfielder at Bayer Leverkusen. Had a brilliant season. Obviously, Leverkusen winning the title in Germany and going a whole season, not just a league season, a whole season so far unbeaten. Is it so far? I think they're in the final, aren't they, of the Europa League or something like that. Maybe they've got one game to go. I don't know. I need to work this out. I really should know this before coming on. But anyway, so far they're unbeaten. Loads of last-minute goals. And Florian Wirtz, 39% owned. He is in double figures for goals and assists this season for Bayer Leverkusen. The issue for me with this pick, and it's true of a couple of picks so far that are going to kind of pop up their heads here, is just knowing how Germany are actually going to set up. We've said before in previous videos, and we'll say it again, Germany have had no competitive football in the last kind of couple of years because they haven't had to qualify because they're the hosts. So it's always quite hard to judge how well are they doing when they've got a bunch of friendlies. And as I said in the other video I did the other day, they've lost 6 of their last 12, and they've lost to teams like, I haven't got it in front of me, but I remember Colombia, Japan, Turkey, teams that you just wouldn't think that they'd lose against. They have. So is that it's just because they haven't been given 100% because it's friendlies and they're trying stuff out? I still haven't done the work on that and I need to go away. But Florian Wirtz is definitely one of their, top talents in terms of, young talents, but also had an incredible season. I'm sure he's going to be starting for them. But what sort of system are they going to employ? Who's the one Germany asset to get? It's quite tricky. Is it Kai Havertz? Is it Florian Wirtz? Is it Sane? Is it Musiala? I don't know. Is it Gundogan? I don't know. But Florian Wirtz, the people are speaking and saying, get him, because he is 39% owned. And great option. Obviously, he plays on the first day as well. So it gives you an option of captaincy on that first opening day of the Euros when they play Scotland. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? Germany could absolutely blow Scotland away with the excitement and being the hosts and obviously being a good team. Or it could be a really tight affair because Scotland aren't a bad side now. So, yeah. Florian Wirtz is the next pick. Right, who's next? Let's have a look. Let's move over. I mean, come on. Jude Bellingham, of course, 9.5 million. He is 48% owned in the game, so very highly owned. He's got 20 goals and 10 assists, or over that, maybe just over that now for Real Madrid this season. He is the second favourite at the moment for the Ballon d'Or, just behind his compatriot, what's his name? Vinicius Jr., who I think is the favourite for the Ballon d'Or. But what a team. They are obviously in the final of the Champions League playing Dortmund. That's right, isn't it? Real Madrid, Dortmund, yeah. And what a player. I mean, what an opening season at Real Madrid. Absolutely sensational. England's, I genuinely think, watching him at 20 years old, I think he might end up being, the best England player since, I don't know what you want to say. Ever? I mean, since Bobby Charlton, I mean, what do you want to say? I don't know. Wayne Rooney kind of tailed off, but when Wayne Rooney was young, he was absolutely incredible as well. So that's Jude Bellingham at 48%. I don't know. How can you not have him? I suppose the question is, for England, where's he going to play? Is he going to be drop deeper? Is he going to play in the 10? We don't know. So all these friendlies, by the way, this is all kind of subject to, I guess, seeing these friendlies play out. The domestic seasons end, these players join their international teams, and then friendlies happen before the Euros starts proper, and that always gives us a lot of information to take on. Next, who's next? Let's have a look. I think it's going to be another England player. It's Phil Foden. So Phil Foden, £9 million, had an absolutely sensational season at Man City, won another Premier League title, his 6th already as a professional player, and he's only 25 or something, 24. Absolutely stupid. He's 29% owned. I think he's been voted the PFA Player of the Year in the Premier League. He's won another trophy. He has scored absolutely vital goals for Man City this season. Again, the question is, how is he going to play in this setup for England? Because we don't quite know, again, how we're going to set up. Is Phil Foden going to be on the left of the front three? Is he going to be in the middle three? Is he going to have to play left back because we haven't got any? Who knows? But at the moment, the people are saying, pick Phil Foden, 29% owned. And, you can't go wrong with that, really, can you? An England midfielder like Phil Foden, who you'd imagine it would be crazy if he doesn't start. So there you go. Who's next? I think it's going to be another Man City player. Yes, it is. It's Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne for Belgium. Now, 9.5 million. Obviously, anyone who watches the Premier League knows what Kevin De Bruyne can do. Anyone who's watched Belgium in qualifying knows how many goals they can score. And obviously, Lukaku is the top scorer in the whole tournament of qualifying with 14. We mentioned incredible. He's not in the top 3, right? Up front at 9 million. I'm definitely considering, by the way, putting Lukaku in my team, but still need to look at it more. But anyway, KDB, I don't know. This is an interesting one. It would probably surprise you if I told you he actually only played one game for Belgium in the qualifiers. Due to injury, basically. I think it must have been all due to injury and things like that. But he only played one game. So the question for De Bruyne is kind of similar to Bellingham and Foden. Is how is he going to fit into this Belgian team? Obviously, he's going to start. He's probably, talent-wise, their best player. But this is a Belgium team that is kind of, I don't know, it's a bit odd. The last couple of tournaments, everyone's been saying how good they are, how amazing their squad is. They had Eden Hazard and they've had a few other players who were part of that golden Belgium generation who haven't quite done it at the big tournaments. De Bruyne he's getting on. This Euros might be his last Euros. I don't know. He's probably got another World Cup in him, hasn't he? But how is he going to fit in? It's not like we know from qualifying that the 14 goals Lukaku scored were all set up by De Bruyne or something like that. No, De Bruyne only played one game. So I think what I'm going to do before picking someone like De Bruyne, I don't think I will end up picking him actually, but before I do it, I want to see these friendlies before the tournament starts, see how Belgium are playing, see where De Bruyne is playing and what sort of role he's got in that team. But 25% of people don't need to wait for that, and they've shoved him in straight away. So KDB, 25% owned, 9.5 million. I mean, it's not a bad pick either way, is it? Because he's definitely going to start, and he's an incredible player, and from whatever position he could conjure up a bit of magic. So there you go. The last midfielder, this might be a surprising one actually for some people, but it's actually Xavi Simons, who, for Holland, he's 19% owned. He's only 7 million, which is pretty good actually. He's had a pretty good season at RB Leipzig, isn't it? It's RB Leipzig, is it? Yeah, it's RB Leipzig. 8 goals, 11 assists in the league. So really good all-round player, really good talent. Linked with some huge moves to big clubs like City and, Real Madrid and all this sort of thing. I know he's been at PSG in the past, I think that's right, isn't he? He was at PSG but didn't really get a game. But for Holland, in 8 qualifying matches, he didn't score. So that league form didn't translate into international form. So once again, I'm stuck saying I want to see these Holland friendlies before the Euros kick off. I want to see how Simons plays. I want to see where he plays, and I want to get a little bit more information before I say let's get him. There are an interesting group of midfielders in this game, priced at 7 million, who could be great picks. Simons is one. Szoboszlai is another. 7 million, does everything for that Hungary team. I think Kvaratskhelia for Georgia is 7 million. Now, if they do anything in this tournament, and they are the biggest favourites they are the least likely to win in terms of odds. the bookies' odds. But if they are going to do anything, he's going to be involved, right? He's their talisman. So interesting group of £7 million midfielders. I might do a whole video on £7 million midfielders and rank them, because quite a few people are going to have that slot where they want to get a slightly cheaper midfielder, but who can still have a big impact. So that's the midfield. Wirtz, Bellingham, Foden, De Bruyne and Simmons. They're the top 5 picked midfielders. The players who just miss out or are just kind of knocking on the door of getting in. Musiala at 18%. Again, obviously, Germany hosts on the first day. So if you didn't have Wirtz, you could have Musiala. I think he's 8.5 rather than Wirtz is 7.5 though. Rodri, 6 million, I think, for Spain. 18% owned. Obviously, there's this crazy stat that, Man City haven't lost a game while he's been on the pitch for about... Or he hasn't lost any game of football for Spain or City for something like 50 games in a row or something stupid. Please correct me. It will be, someone will know the exact stat. And then Bruno Fernandes at 17%, which I find surprising. I know he's 9 million in this game. Or is he 9.5? He's something. He's quite expensive. But Portugal have scored so many goals in qualifying. Bruno Fernandes actually got 6 goals himself in qualifying, plus a few assists. And Portugal, again, decent group, score bags of goals. Bruno Fernandes is always involved. He's definitely going to start. I am contemplating Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes double up. They play on the last day of the match day, so it's captaincy options as well. But anyway, at the moment, he hasn't made the top 5 midfielders. I think that might tick up before this tournament starts. I wouldn't be surprised if Bruno Fernandes' ownership is in the top 5. He's ended the season well at Man United as well. He's just a top player, isn't he? I don't know why some people don't. Some people in the community sometimes sort of say Bruno Penandes. That was that season where he got a lot of penalties, but his record speaks for itself. He's such a good player. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll look at defenders. On to defenders, and you can see there I've already unveiled the first one, which is Antonio Rudiger. Now, this kind of surprises me, kind of doesn't. I mean, Rudiger is a safe pick. He is playing for the hosts. He's playing on the first day, so you could even captain him if you really wanted to go for a punt. He is going to start, and he's a solid defender who pops up with a goal every now and again. So, in a sense, he's just a really safe, solid pick that a lot of good managers will go for. The thing about this game, though, is how it rewards wing-backs so well. If you played Euro 2020 Fantasy, you'll know the popular picks were Joachim Mailer at where is he? Switzerland? Gosh, can't remember. Like Spinazzola at Italy. Like these players, Dumfries at Holland. These players, these wing-backs who were just flying forward, and they've got 2 options of points, right? They've got the option of getting a clean sheet, because they're a defender, they'll get 4 points for that. But they've also got the option of scoring a goal or getting an assist with the attacking return. So they're sort of the most exciting asset almost in the game. The most exciting asset in these games is not the elite striker, although that is exciting. It's the wing-backs who can do everything, right? So using your 5 defensive slots to get 5 wing-backs is not a stupid decision. It's not a bad play. Even if some of them are a little bit punty and a little bit out there, it's not a bad play at all. So Rudiger does surprise me, but also doesn't. A great pick. Rudiger, 5.5 million. You kind of know what you're getting. Who's next? Next is... This one did surprise me, right? This one did surprise me a little bit. It probably shouldn't have, given his club form, but Jerome Frimpong for the Netherlands, who plays right wing back for Bayer Leverkusen. Again, Bayer Leverkusen, just like Florian Wirtz in midfield, incredible season. He plays right wing back. He's going to be getting forward. He fills one of those wing back roles like I talked about. Thing is, he only broke into the Netherlands squad October 2023. He made his debut last year. But listen to this: for Bayer Leverkusen, he has got 14 goals this season from defence, from right wing back, and 7 assists in the league. So it's over 20 goal contributions from a wing back. Now, is he going to employ that same exact style and get forward that much for Holland? Again, let's watch the friendlies, and let's even see whether he's going to start. I mean, I think he probably will, but correct me if I'm wrong. But we'll see in the friendlies before Euro 2020 kicks off whether he's going to be taking up that position. By the way, I didn't say, but Rudiger was 32% owned, Frimpong 25% owned. Okay, 5.5 million again. Should we go there? Well, for me, it's a wait and see where he plays in these friendlies that Holland are going to have. I assume they've got friendlies. I haven't even looked. I assume all clubs are going to have friendlies before Euro 2024. Maybe I'll do a video on the friendlies and what we learn from them. But Jerome Pring... Oh, today again. I'm going to do this. All tournament, if he is in my team, I'm going to be calling him Jerome Pring-Prong. Jerome... Next. Let's just move next. The next defender is Theo Hernandez for France. Again, 5.5 million, a popular price point for defenders. He is 25% owned. 9 goal contributions this season for AC Milan. Again, another wing-back. He's going to start for France. France are obviously always some of the favourites. They've got Austria in their first game. They could go nuts in that. It could be a tight game, but, I think France is definitely going to be the overwhelming favourites for that match. Could get a clean sheet. Could get an attack and return. Again, as I said... Wing-backs in this game, I'm never going to... If you tell me I've picked X wing-back who's going to start in my team, from any team, basically, in defence, I'll go decent shout, because that's the way to play this game. As I talked about in the How to Play video that I made, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it if you're unclear on some of the rules, because this game is a little bit different to other fantasy games. There's an element of stick and twist with the captaincy. So over a match day, which is not one 24-hour period, it's over the first one, for example, is over 5 days, and it encompasses every team's first game. You can change the captain every single day, and either stick or twist. You don't keep the points when you change it. You say you captained, who's playing on the first day here? Florian Wirtz here, right, for Germany, and he blanked. He didn't do anything. Okay, I'll take the captaincy off, and he'll go from double whatever he had to, say, 1 point. He goes back to 1 point, and I'll put the captaincy on, and you move it around, right? So that's why it's important to make sure you have a player who features on. There's at least one player featuring in your team on every day of the match day, because it always gives you an option with the captaincy. And who knows, you might, strike one lucky. You might, captain, I don't know, accidentally captain Declan Rice for England, and then he scores a hat-trick, bizarrely, but you had it on him, that sort of thing, right? So the point here with Theo Hernandez, I guess, is that, and wing-backs in general, is that when you start the match day, a little tip on how you can do quite well is at the start, maybe take some big risks with the captaincy, because you've still got those later days where you can fall back on an Mbappe on the 4th day, or a Cristiano Ronaldo on the 5th day if your captain hasn't paid off yet. So stick or twist is something that is going to constantly be it's constantly a thing in this fantasy game. So yeah, so that's why wingbacks are great, because you can captain a wingback. Very popular thing to do in this version of the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see people captaining people like Frimpong. Just why not? Let's give it a go. And usually those really annoying people get lucky, and then Frimpong scores, and you think, why on earth didn't I do it? Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's move on. Next one, Virgil van Dijk. Now this is one that surprises me. 6 million first of all. He's let's have a look here. 24% owned. He's 6 million. He's just another safe pick like Rudiger, really. I mean, obviously we know Virgil van Dijk can pop up with a goal. He's good at headers. He's the heart of that Dutch defence. I think they've got a pretty decent record defensively in terms of clean sheets and stuff. But he's not a wing back. He's not going to be flying down the wing and getting assists and sort of plenty of goals. So he's just a safe pick. And I think it's probably the Premier League vibe that's going. Everyone goes, oh, I know who he is. He's good. I'll put him in. But remember, players like Virgil van Dijk in FPL, they can be good picks in the Premier League version of fantasy football. Can be good picks because they might pop up with a goal, but also like bonus points. Because if Liverpool, keep a clean sheet, Virgil van Dijk might get some bonus points. But bonus points aren't a thing in this game. There is no bonus point system. You don't get any bonus points after the game, apart from one player who does, who's man of the match. Basically, the man of the match gets 3 points decided by UEFA. Only one player gets man of the match, and they get a 3-point bonus. So, yeah, Virgil van Dijk, I wouldn't say is an optimum pick, particularly the fact he's another 0.5 up at 6 million. I wouldn't be going there, but, who am I to... I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, flipping 24% of people disagree with me already, so there you go. Next. No surprise here. João Cancelo, I mean... Again, one of the most attacking wing-backs in Europe, in world football at the moment. He, at Man City, of course, we know how good he was there. Interestingly, he's owned by 21%, right? He is 6 million, so he's got that kind of elite bracket of price for a defender. He only got 8 goal contributions last year in about 41 games. which isn't bad, of course, but it's not the João Cancelo. He's not like absolutely gone crazy at Barcelona. He has got, though, for Portugal, in this attacking Portugal side I keep mentioning, I think they scored 43 goals or something in qualifying. Like, they scored a lot of goals. He actually did contribute with 3 goals. So he is part of their attacking flow. He is part of their attacking system. He actually seems to be scoring at a better rate for Portugal than he was for Barcelona. So I am really, really tempted to have him in my team if I can fit him in any way possible. 6 million. I really like Portugal. People who know me know that. I like Ronaldo. I like Bruno Fernandes. I like Cancelo. That triple up for me. It's really expensive, but I'm going to do everything I can to try and fit it in. Whether I'm going to be able to or not is another question. But there you go. Let's move straight on to goalkeepers. So the first goalkeeper is Andrei Lunin for the Ukraine at 4.5 million. Now, look, I play Champions League fantasy football, and I have had Lunin for a number of weeks because he was really cheap on that game. And obviously, Courtois got injured for Real Madrid, so Lunin came in and did really well. Okay, no one is disputing that. Really, really well. But is there an element to this of people going, oh, we've just found out about Lunin these last few months. He's only 4.5, right? Real Madrid keeper, let's get him. And there'll definitely be an element of that because he's 21% owned at 4.5. However, I looked at it and thought, does he even start for Ukraine now? Does he start for Ukraine? I don't actually know. Now, I looked at the last 2 matches that Ukraine had in their lineups because their other keeper, whoever it was, what was his name? Trubin, Trubin, that fella, who's more money in this game. He's 5 million. I thought, right, I'm sure he's the keeper for Ukraine. But it is true that the last 2 matches that Ukraine have played, Lunin has started, and it seems like the narrative seems to be, please correct me if you're Ukrainian, tell me what I'm missing, I'll do more work on this, but it seems since Lunin has sort of appeared at Real Madrid and done really well and been in the team and been starting keeper for them because of injuries, Lunin has become the number 1 for the Ukraine. But again, let's look at the friendlies before the tournament and let's see what happens there. Let's see as well whether Lunin starts in the Champions League final for Real Madrid. Sounds like Courtois back and is going to start, but I feel so harsh for Lunin, who's kind of got them there, done really well all the way through, and then he's going to miss out on the final. But 4.5 million though for a starting keeper, if he is starting, well, worth a punt. I mean, Ukraine got a decent side; they could do something. Let's wait and see for the friendlies though. And the second keeper, who is 20% owned, again, not really surprising, but is Manuel Neuer, who is obviously the keeper for the hosts, and is just incredible. I mean, against Bayern Munich, against Real Madrid the other day, until he made that mistake, he was absolutely amazing. He was just putting off incredible saves, and then obviously made that big mistake. But yeah, we know what we get with Manuel Neuer. Again, he's a bit of a safe pick. It's Germany, but he's quite expensive as a keeper, 6 million. So are there better options? I imagine there are, but at the moment, he is in the top picks. By the way, the defenders, just to go back to, who haven't made it into the top 5, the ones knocking on the door are Gvardiol, who's 16% owned, Grimaldo, 19% owned at Spain, Di Marco at Italy, and if you've played Serie A fantasy before, or even just Euro 2020 fantasy, I think Di Marco was there, was he? I can't remember. 15% owned, and then Ruben Dias at Portugal for 15% owned as well. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's a pretty good team. I'm just going to pick that one. Well, unfortunately, you can't, because we need another 13.5 million, as you can see there. But I just wanted to go through the top picks in each position and see what we ended up with. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go away. I'm going to make as few changes to this team as possible while still getting under budget and see what I come up with. And I'm only going to give myself 5 minutes. So I'm going to be back in less than 5 minutes, see what I can come up with that's under budget. So see you in a second. So I've been looking at this. It took me slightly more than 5 minutes, actually, because I realised to get 13.5 million extracted out of this is quite hard. What I've done is I've kind of taken a few picks that I just wasn't quite massive fans of. I wasn't a massive fan of. Swapped them for a slightly obvious cheaper picks here and there. Obviously had to take a few punts here and there to kind of make it work. But this is what I got to, right? So you can see the team there. Watch that budget. It's minus 13.5 million. And there. 0, right? So I've managed to make the ends meet for this team. Now, if you're listening on audio podcast, don't worry, I am going to explain the changes I've made. So first big change, and everyone's going to be going, hang on a minute. I've taken out Mbappe, people. I've taken out Mbappe. Harry Kane, Lukaku, and Ronaldo are my front three now. Now Lukaku, I mean Mbappe is such an obvious choice, right? He's owned by 70% of the players so far. Kane, Ronaldo, and Mbappe seem like the natural front three, but it's so expensive. And to get 13.5 million out of that squad, what I've done is I've taken £11 million Mbappe out and put £9 million Lukaku in. Now let's remember, Lukaku is the top scorer at Euro 2024 qualifying. He is a goal scorer for Belgium. He's got a great record, and he's 2 million cheaper. So that's the first change I've made. The second change you'll see I've made is, in fact, I flick through them. I've taken Bellingham out. It was 9.5 because, again, as I said, I just don't know where he's going to play yet. So get him out. Scott McTominay, get him in. Scotland's talisman scored 7 goals, I think, in qualifying. I think he's like the 4th or 5th top scorer in Euro 2024 qualifying. For Scotland, he pops up all over the place getting goals. Him and John McGinn are the two midfielders to consider from Scotland. I think McGinn's on penalties, but Scott McTominay is the one who, in qualifying, he almost single-handedly have dragged Scotland to Euro 2024 and 6.5 million. I think that's a bit of a bargain, to be honest. Of course, they've got Germany. That is a hard game, but they could get results, they could get goals, and Scott McTominay makes it in. The next change I made was Foden out, who was 9 million. Again, because I want to wait and see where he's going to be playing. I've still got Kane, so I've got England attack covered. And Dominic Szoboszlai comes in for 7 million. On the UEFA app, I watched all the Hungary goals in qualifying. You can do it for any team. You can just watch, highlights of all the goals. Szoboszlai, first of all, scored some absolute bangers. And second of all, he's involved with everything for them. He's such a good player. He, at Liverpool, sometimes he kind of blends into the background a bit in terms of they're just full of great talents. But he is the main man for Hungary. He's on penalties as well, I think. 7 million quid. If they're going to do anything, he's going to be involved. So I've brought him in again to make sure we make ends meet on the budget. The third change in midfield is Kevin De Bruyne out for the reasons I mentioned earlier. First of all, he's 9.5. Second of all, he only played 1 game in qualifying. Third of all, I don't know how he's going to fit into that system yet. He's quite expensive as well. Jorginho at 5 million comes in. Now, this is a pick that is kind of looking like it's popular in the community. People who are looking into the game are saying Jorginho at 5 million could be a real bargain, could be a real gem. Yet to be seen if he's actually going to start. But if he does, he could be on penalties. He could be on free kicks. He could be on set pieces. He's kind of the beating heart of everything in that deep-lying playmaker role. Jorginho, 5 million. If he starts, and that's the question. I'm not saying he definitely is, so we need to look at again at the friendlies. If he starts, he is a great option for 5 million. That is a bargain. There's hardly any players at that sort of price who are going to be starting for teams like Italy, right? And then the last change I made is Xavi Simons out again for similar reasons that I said earlier, which is, yes, he's got the record at club level this season, but for Holland, he hasn't scored a goal in 8 games in qualifying. I think that was right. I think that's what I said. So he comes out, and already getting to know me, Bruno Fernandes comes in. That Portugal triple up is coming into view. Fernandes, 9 million, involved in everything for Portugal, scored 6 goals in qualifying, plays on the last day, so it gives me another captaincy option, even though I've got Ronaldo, I can pick between the two. I just have a feeling Portugal are going to do really well. They scored so many goals in qualifying. They're a team to back, and with Ronaldo, Fernandes, and Cancelo in my team, if they score, I'm going to get points somehow. How unlucky would I be if they score and I don't? So there you go, there's the midfield. Now, in defence, changes I've made. Rudiger, I am leaving because I've got to leave some of these players. I've taken out Frimpong at 5.5, and I've brought in Ian Maatsen. So still a Dutch defender, but 4.5, save $1 million. He's been at Dortmund playing left back. He's got that left back position at Dortmund, who are in the Champions League final next week. On loan from Chelsea. He's been sensational. He's an attacking player. He's attacking wing back. Think he's going to start for Holland again. That if we find out he's not going to, we'll change this. But 4.5 million, he could be an absolute steal. Theo Hernandez stays, and then I've taken out Virgil van Dijk again for the reasons I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to cough. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, which is he's a bit safe. He's not a wing back. Who knows what's going to happen? For a bargain of a player, the bargain probably that has kind of shown themselves so far in this game. People who are looking into this game already are all talking about him, is Mittelstadt. at Germany, who people think is going to start left back for them. Left kind of wing back, left back for them. And he's not 5 million. He's not 4.5 million. He's 4 million, ladies and gentlemen, and he could be starting for the hosts at Euro 2024 in that first game. So Mittelstadt's got to come in just as an enabler. I mean, him at that price just allows you to do other things elsewhere, so he's got to come in. And then I'm keeping Cancelo, of course. I've found a way to keep my 3 Portuguese players, even though I was looking for 13.5 million. I've actually, since the first team I showed a minute ago, I've spent more money on Portugal because I've brought in Bruno Fernandes as well. So there you go. Lunin stays in goal. I'll keep him, seeing as 21% have picked him. But I've swapped out Neuer for Pickford. Saves £1 million. Pickford we know is going to start for England. England have got a great chance in any game of getting a clean sheet, and therefore it was the obvious choice. So there you go. That's the team that I've ended up with going down this route. I guess this is kind of in a weird sense a first draft. Therefore, for my team, I've gone on ownership as the base of my picks, and then sprinkled in some of my opinions so far. That will definitely change that team, but players that if I was picking a team, for example, I don't think I'd have Florian Wirtz, actually, and he's still there. I don't think I'd have Rudiger, and I don't think I'd have Theo Hernandez. The rest of them, I don't think I'd have Lunin. The rest of them, though, pretty close, pretty much there, I think. So now it's just we've got to keep our eyes on the friendlies, got to keep our eyes on the squad announcements. I know England's squad has just been announced today. Players like Rashford, who are in this game, and some of you will have him in your drafts. He's not even in the provisional squad, so you're going to have to get rid of him. But yeah, I wonder what your first drafts are looking at. Comment below with any questions. Comment below with anything you want to say or you want me to cover. Anything I've missed, any obvious stats I've said that are wrong, please correct me. I'll be commenting below as well. Make sure you like and subscribe, notification bell, all that sort of stuff, and leave some kind words if you enjoyed this. Thank you very much, everyone. I'd love to see your first drafts. Can you post them in YouTube comments? I don't know. And if you're listening on the app, the podcast app, leave 5 stars as well. Thank you very much, and I'll be back in a couple of days with another video.